It was a normal day in Ponyville. Spike had been asked by Twilight to do some errands for her, like go to the post office to mail some mails and go to the market to buy some food for later for dinner tonight, which he did without any questioning. But after he had returned home to the castle with some of the groceries, he asked Twilight if there was something else that she needed help with. And she said, "No, Spike, I think I actually have all things covered for now. Alright, I will head out since it's a nice day and, just find out something to do." She nodded and Spike left the castle. At this point, Spike decided to go see what Rarity was up to. He hasn't even told her about his true feelings yet. But today, he decided it was time to do it. He went to her boutique, and she was busy as always, but she was always had time for her friend Spike. "Hello, Spike, darling. What are you doing here?" "Oh, hey, Rarity. Nothing much. I just dropped by to see how you were doing." "Oh, that's sweet of you." "Well, all me busy with some other things here." Spike nodded, and as they sat down, he told Rarity that he wanted to tell her something. She looked at him with a curious look, and he then told her exactly how he felt for her. "Oh, I see, Spike. But hearing those words, or like, but the tone of it, Spike almost could sense that she was not having the same feelings towards him as he had for her. After she said that, she even said that she only saw Spike as a friend and nothing more. He took it a little bit hard, but he remained silent for a little bit and they small talked for just for a couple of minutes before he decided it was time for him to go since he had to do something else. After he left, he was feeling hurt. He was heartbroken. For a long time now, he had been having these big feelings for Rarity, but now it's like his heart had been crushed. He walked around silently, and he arrived to the park where he found a place to sit down and started crying. He had no idea what to do next. He sat there for maybe half an hour or so, crying. But after he was finished with crying, he just stood up and walked back to the castle, and Twilight saw him and asked how his walk had been, but he just walked by her without saying a single word. That was unlike him, she thought, because he's always answering back. But she saw that he was distraught, and he just lay in his bed crying again. She could hear that. And she decided to just going to ask him what was the matter. But he had locked the door, and when she knocked, he said that he didn't want to be disturbed, that he didn't want to talk to any pony. And she respected his wishes. So she decided to leave him alone for a while. But when dinner came, Spike went downstairs, grabbed his dinner, and went back to his room and locked the door. He barely left his room for the next several days. And even Twilight's getting a little bit worried about him. Even some of her friends had asked, they had even said that they hadn't even seen Spike left the castle for a few days. They asked what was the reason. She had no idea herself, she said. When Fluttershy proposed that she could talk to Spike, for some reason he actually let her in, and he filled her in what was supposed to happen. She was devastated. But she told Spike things like this happens all the time. Every pony had to be an experience some reaction. He asked if she had. She said no, since she hasn't really much been to dating yet, but probably a lot of her friends had. So after that, she went downstairs and informed Twilight the reason. After that Fluttershy had left among her other friends, Twilight walked up to Spike's room and asked how things has been for him. She felt sorry what happened. There was only mere time before he would find out anyways. He asked if Twilight knew about this. Well, if Rachel didn't like him the same way. She shook her head and said no, she wasn't lying, because she knew that how much Spike liked Rarity, but she didn't even know if Rarity was in love with Spike or not. There wasn't even her question to ask Rarity about it. After about almost a week, Spike decided to just move on, but even it was hard at first. But he managed to pull it through, and after a couple of weeks, he had almost entirely moved on from this. But some of his friends had asked Spike if he was considered been dating Pony. He nodded that he really wanted to. But one day, when he was out in town for a walk for an errand for Twilight, he literally walked into a one pony. He immediately apologized. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there." And it was a mare that he had never seen before. He immediately apologized and asked if she was hurt or anything. She said no, and he immediately introduced himself as Spike the Dragon, or just Spike. She said that her name was Sugarcoat. He asked her if she is here for a visit or if she has moved to town. Turned out she actually had moved recently to Ponyville from Trottingham. She decided that she had a little bit had enough of big towns, the big city life. She wanted to live in a more calmer, quiet. And after she told Spike that she had heard a lot of positive response about Ponyville. And unfortunately, Spike had to go since he had to deliver some groceries back to the castle. But he said that he perhaps will see her some other time. She nodded. And Spike actually did tell Red Twilight about this new pony. She smiled and said, "Well, always need to make new friends, are you?" He smiled and said, "Yeah, probably." But ever since their rejection from Rarity, there has always been a spark in question in his mind. Will I ever find my true love? He had decided that he wanted to go out dating. But the question is, who would he even try to ask? After he heard some of his friends talking about speed dating, that was probably something he could consider to do, but he decided to do it. And even when he arrived, the organizer was a little bit surprised to see Spike, but he signed in, and as he was he was actually matched with a few mares, but unfortunately he didn't feel any sort of connection towards any of them. Until near the end. He was matched with one familiar face, Sugarcoat. She actually had also been asked to be trying this, and they were both surprised that even they were matched at the same table. And they actually had a good time, but despite that they only had like a 5 minutes talk, or like that, afterwards, they actually left the same place, and since it was quite early in the afternoon, Spike asked her if she wanted to just go somewhere and grab something to eat. She said yes, and when at this small diner, they start talking about her life back in Trottingham and what was the reason actually that she wanted to move here. Turned out there was not only a few other reasons. She had a boyfriend back home, but she found out that he had been cheating on her for a whole year with one of his friends, and she could not stand that. So she left her home and moved to Ponyville. And it started like it sparked an interest in him. She talked to him and asked him questions about himself so that they would get to know each other. And after a while, their feelings for each other as friends started to spark more. The actors then started to hang out more and more frequently. Turned out that Sugarcoat was actually working with Bon Bon at her sweet candy store. But after almost 2 months of being hanging out as friends, Spike actually decided to ask Sugarcoat out. And when he did, she said yes. It turned out she actually had started to have an interest in Spike. And they actually went to the movies and decided to watch this comedy movie. And it sparked for a long time relationship afterwards. But it didn't become an official after at least about a month later. During this time, Spike's friends have found out that he has been dating this new mare, and they ask more about her. And he told them what he knows, and after about a month, they made it official. Around the time, Sugarcoat actually had informed her family about her new boyfriend, which is a dragon, and they were actually invited to spend some time with her family over the weekend back in Trottingham. And at first Spike was a little bit nervous, but eventually quickly changed because her family actually was so supportive. But there was one small issue that happened when they were in Trottingham. When Sugarcoat was just walking by herself with Spike, but when he stopped for a moment and she was walking, she ran into her ex-boyfriend. He actually was trying to ask her if she was interested to go back and try again. But she said no, she had a new boyfriend. He asked who. And then Spike walked up to her and asked if something was the matter. She said, "This is my new boyfriend, Spike." The ex-boyfriend was stunned to see that she was dating a dragon, not a pony. But at least he said, I'm happy for you that you found some new pony to be with." And then he just walked off, and that was the last time she even saw him. She was expecting maybe her ex-boyfriend would try to do something to win her heart back, like fighting Spike or something. But it turned out it was not even his character to do that. But the relationship between Spike and Sugarcoat only grew stronger from that day on. When Sugarcoat had asked Spike what about his parents, his biological parents, it made him feel sad and said that he didn't know his real parents. He was hatched as an egg by Twilight when she made her exam entrance. And so basically she and her family raised him. She felt a bit sad to have apologized for questioning this, but he said it was okay because she would have known if she didn't had asked. And in their first year for the winter holiday, Heartswarming Eve, they decided actually to spend the holiday together. But they actually went to Trottingham with her family, and it was just a great time. Her family actually loved Spike so much they couldn't even had enough of his stories about his adventures with his old friends back home, like against Storm King, King Sombra, when they were fighting against Discord and all that kinds of stories. Even Sugarcoat was actually quite interested in hearing those stories, despite having heard of them before. But hearing them always over again, it always made her interested. But after the holiday was over, they went back home to Ponyville. But the relationship between Spike and Sugarcoat eventually at some point afterwards, after Hearts and Hooves Day, almost took an abrupt end. Spike actually saw that Sugarcoat was talking to the stallion, a friend apparently, as later he found out. But they were laughing, and she said that I loved your jokes and you're just so funny. I like you. And he saw that, and he just flew back to the castle heartbroken. He believed that maybe that she had found somebody else to be with, a pony. He believed that she got tired of dating a dragon, that she wanted to date one of her own kind. When he did ask her confronted about this, she first actually took it very offensive. She was like, Spike, how dare you assume I was trying to seduce or trying to flirt with another pony? I love you, not him. When he asked who that were, she said that was a friend. A friend that she had made here in Ponyville. And she actually could confirm it was just a friend. She didn't want to jeopardize the relationship she had with Spike. Some pony that actually treated her with such kindness. And it was so close that their relationship could have been ended there at the same moment. But Spike realized his big mistake and apologized and asked for forgiveness. He felt sorry to assume so quickly before even to have asked for the facts first. She accepted the apology and said, next time, Spike, don't make a such fast assumption before you even had all the facts. He had agreed on that, and he promised always to be careful next time. One day, Sugarcoat went to see Spike at the castle, but she was greeted by starlight glimmer. She later found out that Spike wasn't even in town. She had left town with Twilight for a couple of days for a royal meeting in Crystal Empire. It turned out that this meeting was quite so important that Twilight wasn't even informed until in the last moment. So Sugarcoat was a little bit shocked, but she at least knew that he was just away for a couple of days for something important. After all, he is still Twilight's #1 assistant. So during the time when he was away, she spent a lot of time with her work, even some of her friends, just waiting for him to return. And after about a couple of days, he did. She asked him how his time had been in Crystal Empire because she wasn't aware that he had to go. He apologized because even though they were supposed to be meeting that day, but it was just only a eruption, this quick summon by Cadence to Crystal Empire. So, but yeah, she understands because after all, Twilight is a very busy princess, and being her assistant is something that's very important title too. Ever since then, he always made sure to have left a message if something would then like happen again, and she understood that. After being together with Sugarcoat for 10 years, Spike felt ready that he wanted to ask her to get married. So he took her to a restaurant where they had just an incredible romantic dinner. He asked her, and she said yes. They were just quite excited to have this big wedding. They decided to have the wedding in Ponyville. Sugarcoat had asked Rarity to be her maid of honor, and Spike had asked Discord to be his best man. They decided to have the wedding near the castle, and it was just amazing. Even after the ceremony at the wedding reception, everybody could see how happy Spike and Sugarcoat were together, and it was just an amazing time for them. They were just happy to be married with the one they loved the most. They eventually went to Crystal Empire for 2 weeks for their honeymoon. There, they just had an amazing time. Just enjoying the spa, just having a great time. And for Spike, though, he was just happy to be with the one he loved the most. And just 2 years later, Spike and Sugarcoat later found out they were expecting their first child. They were expecting a daughter. And 3 years later, they actually had their second child, a boy. And Spike and Sugarcoat couldn't be happier to being married with the one they loved the most of all. Considering that after Spike, after his rejection from Rarity all those years ago. If he had even tried to find someone else, especially Sugarcoat, would have missed out his true happiness. Especially for Sugarcoat. She was just happy that she ran into Spike that day. And this is how Sugarcoat and Spike find a true love and got a big family together. The end.